All right, this is Dan Meehan for Fight News Australia, and today we have Issac The Headsplitter Hardman, who takes on Adam Stowe in the main event of the Tasman Fighters event in Brisbane on December 4th. Issac, how are you?
Really good, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. Thanks for stopping by. Now, you took a bit of an unorthodox path into boxing. You sort of bypassed the sort of amateur scene and started in MMA. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got your start in the sport?
Yeah. So, like you said, my dad was a professional boxer, and as a child, we always grew up around a boxing bag and stuff like that. But I always loved the UFC and Chuck Liddell. And I first got into MMA. My dad passed away when I was a young fella, when I was in grade 9, so I was 13, 14 years old, and felt like I needed to get a connection through something he had done, which was boxing. So I went down, but I didn't do boxing. I went down to an MMA gym. Long story short, I'll cut to the chase. I had like my first 2 boxing fights in my MMA career. I didn't care at all about the result of the fight in boxing. They were at light heavyweight at the time on a week's notice. Both of them, I got flew in to be beaten, and I ended up knocking both of those guys out in the first round. And then I ruptured my ACL 2 weeks before a title defense in MMA, when I was meant to defend one of my third MMA title. And I had 7 months on the bench, and then got back into all I wanted to do. My third boxing fight was a comeback fight to blow the cobwebs out. Again, didn't care about boxing at the time. I just wanted to get back in front of the crowd, get the nerves off, and then go and sign to the UFC. That was the whole plan. And a man named Dean Lonigan come trotting along and offered a really good contract with a great platform in Foxtel and pay-per-view, and put numbers on contract and piece of paper that I couldn't say no to. And at the end of the day, for me, it's something I want to do. Like, I want to compete at something that's very, very hard, which is fighting, whether it be Muay Thai, boxing, MMA, and get paid accordingly, and in and out, and have a happy, good life afterwards. So boxing made sense at the time. And really looking back, my MMA style was very boxing dominant, and I finished a lot of my fights. 8 of the 9 were by punches. So I didn't shoot for a takedown. Never really kicked. I threw one head kick, fell over. So boxing made sense, and it is now. So that's how.
Absolutely. You're still involved in MMA in any way? I know you do some sparring with Dan Hill and some of the other local MMA fighters.
Yeah, I haven't. Integrated was my home for 2 years. We're back in. I started there 2015 and went through to 2017. But yeah, Dan Hill now works in Nitro Boxing, so we do a lot of boxing sparring. But Matt, I haven't been on the mats doing any jiu-jitsu type of things since started 2 years ago. 2019 was the last time I stepped foot in Adrian's gym, and I still see Pangy from time to time. He comes through, but that's in the past, and you can't be good at both. You either got to choose one or the other, and I've chose boxing.
Yep. So, obviously the crossover fights are all the rage these days. Is MMA sort of in the rearview mirror now, or is that sort of something that you would entertain down the track?
Down the track, possibly. Like I said, I want to make money. So, it is in the rearview mirror for now. I want to win my world title. I'm very well placed. Only being 11 fights in my boxing career, I'm number 11 with the WBO and number 14 with the IBF. I think I'm placed at number 20 overall in the world at middleweight division. So only been 11 fights into. So, when I win my world titles in boxing and do what I need to do in boxing, that's the first and foremost. That's what I want to accomplish. Set up my life. Yeah, who knows? There hasn't been a good crossover back from a boxing guy to MMA. James Toney did it and he got beaten. I don't think there's been a successful transition back to MMA. Because the sport is so hard, boxers are so out of their depth when it comes to grappling. But I've got that pedigree. I know how to wrestle. I know how to defend takedowns. So, that could possibly make massive amounts of money, in 5 years. I'm 9-0 as a professional MMA fighter, and I was the best in Australia. 3 Australian titles, the premier promotions with XFC and AFC. So, I could put my hand up right now, and I think I would only need one fight, maybe on Eternal, and then I could ink a contract with the UFC for sure, 100%. I have no doubt in that, but that's not what I want to do right now.
Absolutely, and so back in boxing circles, it's probably enough of the MMA stuff, but you've had a busy year or so. Is that sort of activity something that you just enjoy, or do you sort of feel like you're trying to close the gap on the competition, or is it just pure prize fighting?
Man, like I always say, this boxing, like the training itself, whether it be MMA or boxing, is so hard and rigorous just to fight once a year. And the pay isn't good here in Australia. So, you know, that be MMA and boxing. So you got to get the numbers up and fight to get paid or make half a good dollar. And, you know, I don't like training without an end goal. So I wouldn't put my body through all this without having to being able to go out to the glitz and the glamour and under the lights in front of everyone and put a show on. So that's why, you know, my first year as a professional MMA fighter, I had 5 MMA fights, you know. So I chalked them up quick, and same with boxing too. So I had 3 fights in the space of 50 days. The 4th fight in 2 more weeks will be my 4th fight in, you know, 7 months. So, yeah, like I said, it's too hard to do without performing under the bright lights.
Absolutely, and the most recent of which was back in June, where you closed what turned out to be a pretty heated rivalry with Emmanuel Carlos. How do you reflect on that one?
Yeah, like looking back now, I had a real bee in my bonnet over him, just the way it went. Like we got the deal done, and he said yes, and it was very amicable to start with. I was a fan of his, he was a fan of mine. I had big raps on him, and we should have had a fight done in March, and then he tippy-toed around it, blamed it on another promotion, and wanted a tune-up fight. That just doesn't sit well with me. You say you want to fight me, fucking put the gloves on and let's fight. And then, then he made some bullshit excuse like he was semi-retired. There was no talk of him being semi-retired when he was meant to be fighting in May of that year, you know. And then as soon as he got the fight with me, he put himself on the semi-retired list, and, you know, that I was cherry-picking. He just said some wrong things that doesn't sit well with me. So it was very satisfying punching his head in. And but looking back now, you know, if I was to bump into him, it'd be fine. I'd shake his hand, and, you know, if there was a chance to do some sparring, possibly if I was ever in Melbourne, yeah, no, why not? But at the time, and, you know, it's a fight at the end of the day. I don't have to dislike the person that's standing across from me, but it makes it easier, definitely. But, you know, it's a fight at the end of the day. Those feelings get involved, and, you know, I really wanted to smash him, and I'm glad I did.
And probably one hand that you might not shake at the moment is that of Michael Zerafa. There's been a bit of a war of words between you two. Like, where's that one come from?
Again, like, I was a fan of his. You know, I always, you know, if you look back, you know, this time last year, I said he was probably out of my depth. You know, he was far, you know, further along in his career. I wouldn't have expected him to have a fight with me. And you know, going back in the DMs in my Instagram, I scroll back to the top. I was always very, you know, I'd always say how good he was, and, you know, like, good on you, Michael Zerafa, and stuff like that. But again, you know, when there's a line in the sand, you draw it. If you step over that fucker with me, that's the end of it. So, you know, and then what really happened was he became the guy that was in front of me, the next step along in my boxing journey. So it doesn't make sense to call for the guy behind me. He was number one after the Mark Lucas fight. And I said, I still at that time, the start of this year in March, I fought Mark. I was still very amicable with Michael Zerafa. And I said, you know, he's the guy in front of me. If he wants to keep campaigning at middleweight, I'm chomping at his heels. And he's so emotional. That bloke is fucking way too much, female hormones pumping through his body. But yeah, he's very emotional, that man. And he just started saying some wrong things, and now it's a feud that is burning very strong, and I cannot wait to smash his head in.
So there's speaking of which, there is sort of some talk that might be in the first quarter of next year. Is that one on the radar?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he made a big deal of this video that come out, like he jumped the gun and had to get one over me, saying that he had to announce it. I was telling everyone we're fighting anyway. So, you know, he wanted to be in February. He's doing his SAS thing, but he's not the one that's calling the shots. You know, he's banned from Foxtel at the moment because he walks away from the Zoo fight. The fight will happen in March, April next year. Whether it be on Foxtel or not, my promoter and his manager have worked on a date that will align with the Foxtel. If they decide, you know, the guy at Foxtel, the head guy, has to decide, yeah, we'll put him on. If it doesn't, it'll just be on Epicenter, which I'm not a fan of. But it is what it is. As long as I get my hands on that guy, that's all that matters at the end of the day. But they have aligned it with dates that correspond with the Foxtel schedule, and the pay-per-views aligned next year with Jai Bataya's world title and stuff like that. So hopefully it lands on Foxtel, because then I get paid accordingly too, which I feel like I deserve. And then I want to give the pleasure of the rest of Australia watching me bounce my gloves off his head as well. So, that would be very rewarding and satisfying for everyone watching. But if not, it's on Epicenter, so buy that. Either way, I'm going to bash Michael Zerafa next year.
There you go. And but for now, you have an assignment ahead of you on December 5th in the form of Adam Stowe. How much do you know about him, and how do you view the matchup there?
Yeah, that's right. I do have an opponent in front of me December 4, and I'm not overlooking him. People in my DMs all the time saying you're going to smash him, this and that. Asking me about Zerafa already. I'm not even thinking about Zerafa yet. I've got to get through Adam, There's a chance he chins me and he gets all the chocolates, come December, and I have a shit box Christmas, and my payday with Michael Zerafa rides off into the sunset. So I've got to smash Adam Stowe at December 4, which I will. But that's all I'm focused on at the moment. He's a tough little southpaw. He's had 11 fights, 6-2-2. People will say that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't in this sport. So people will say, again, I'm cherry picking this, that he hadn't had a fight since the start of 2020. But who else has had a fight? Yeah, COVID fucked everyone. So the people that took the opportunities to fight did. He didn't have an opportunity to fight, he didn't fight. So, but he's got an opportunity now, and it's a big one for him. So I'm sure he's going to come in ready. But he's a tough customer. I've seen his last fight. He went down twice in the first round. So, and he come back, he climbed himself off the canvas and then stopped old mate. Got called a no contest because I don't know why, but he definitely, most certainly won the fight. So he'll be there for a punch on. And again, like I said, he's got everything to gain. I've got everything to lose. So, if I was in his position, I'll be doing everything I can to get ready for spoiling the party. So, I've got everything to lose.
Yep. And who are you sparring with for this one, if you're allowed to tell us on camera, of course?
Like my boys at Nitro Boxing, David Chan, Dan Hill's very tough customer and training, Dimitri Lova, Eric, Jerry, all these guys at Nitro. I've got Connor Wallace, he's a big southpaw. Height-wise is a little bit different. Connor Wallace was a former light heavyweight Australian champion. A guy named Huda, he's a southpaw as well. He's a very, very talented. Who else been sparring with? A guy named Abdul Mayweather. He was like this hot prospect that's coming up. He won't be back, I don't think. But yeah, I'm getting good rounds. I'm always getting good rounds. And if I don't get these rounds outside the gym, my team at Nitro well and truly get me ready. And I got tough rounds at Nitro in-house if we can't get anywhere else.
Yep. And in recent years, we've seen the emergence of fighters such as obviously yourself and Tim Tszyu, Opataya, as you mentioned there, Brock Jarvis, yep. And obviously Harry Garside has made a name for himself at the Olympics there. Does it feel like you've got an opportunity here to be a part of like a resurgence in Australian boxing? Yeah,
for sure. Like, man, when Pacquiao fought Jeff Horn here in Australia, I didn't even know who Jeff Horn was. Boxing was pretty much dead. That he sort of rebirthed Australian boxing, Jeff Horn. So credit to that guy. But yeah, the talent that's coming through at the moment with getting on Foxtel as well. It's been a long time since this platform boxing has been on Australian TV. So man, we got heaps of guys: Leon Paro, Leon Wilson, all these Tim Tszyu. Paul Alcuso's, just went to the Olympics as well. So the talent coming through here in Australia is there's a shift coming, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I feel like I'm one of the guys at the head, leading the charge.
And of course, that charge would be towards a world title. Obviously, that's your goal at the moment. It's still sort of relatively early days in terms of fights. You're 11-0, but do you have a pathway or a timescale in mind of how you want to get there?
4 years, I'll be a world champion. I sat with someone the other day and he said, write a paper 4 years from now and put all your achievements in it. So I've already done that. And on that is having my world title. So the pathway, not yet. I'll get through Adam Stowe, then that'll put me on to Michael Zerafa. And to be fair to Michael Zerafa, he's very well placed in sanctioning bodies and overall on box track. I think he's number 9 in the world. So when I smash him, that'll inject me right into that conversation. But, I've got Liam Williams, that he's a Welsh bloke from the UK. don't chat to him. We talk shit to each other in our DMs on Instagram. So he wouldn't be replying to me if he didn't know who I was. So these guys on the world stage well and truly know who I am. You know, my promoter works very close with Bob Arum. There's guys like at the start of this year, they're talking Ryota Murata. He just landed a massive fight with Triple G, so that's out of the question. But, you know, I feel like Triple G will beat him. Maybe I fight Ryota Murata, him thinking, you know, re-inject himself into the conversation of a world title, I'll knock him on the head. That puts me right there. There's guys like today, there was an IBF world eliminator and a Brazilian guy and someone from America fought. You know, I messaged my matchmaker right away. I said, I beat both of those guys. He's put the feelers out to them as well. So pathway, not so much. I got to get through Adam first, then Michael Zerafa. And then it's the world is my oyster. You know, I'm in the conversation of the best 10 middleweights in the world. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Ryota Murata. That was going to be one of my questions there. He's obviously got his hands full with Gennady Golovkin. But is there anyone else on your hit list? Like, do you have like a dream or bucket list sort of matchup that you'd love to get before you hang him up?
Yeah, for sure. Like the best guys in the world. Like my dream 5 fights would be like Ryota Murata, Eubank Jr., Leon Williams, Jaime Miunga, then Canelo Alvarez, or one of the Charlos. You know, they're the 6 best guys in the world right now. And if I'm not calling for them guys, why am I doing it? You know, it doesn't get me out of bed fighting these duds, you know, that are behind me and stuff like that, or the people that don't have a name. You don't make a name unless you beat a name. So you're not the man unless you beat the man. So I'm gunning for the best guys in the world, like the Charlos. You know, imagine little old Issac Hardman fight Jamal Charlo over in Texas or something, would be off its head. So you know, they're the guys, and it's not even a dream anymore. I know it's going to be a reality. I think that into fruition. That's what's going to happen.
Absolutely. And of course, before any of that comes to fruition, we've got December 4th. So can you give us a prediction for what's going to happen there?
Ooh, I love a prediction. I've skipped on them the last 2 fights. I said I'd get E-Man out in 3 rounds. I did it in 4. But Stowe, I'm going to put him to bed in 5 rounds, with under 5 rounds for sure. And I feel like I've got a thing. It's going to be through the body. I think through the body. But again, like I said, he's good for it. And I think he'll climb himself off the canvas. I'll put him down a couple of times. He'll get up, and then I'll put him to bed shortly after that. But within 5 rounds, he goes to bed. And if not, everyone in that venue, I'll buy them all a beer.
There you go. Heard it here first. It's it's on record now. So
shouts on if I don't get done in 5.
Absolutely. All right, Issac, before I let you go, do you have any sponsors or anyone you'd like to shout out? I'll hand the reins over to you.
Yeah, Antagonist Gym. Well, first and foremost, my manager. First and foremost, my coach, Blair Studley at Nitro Boxing. He's the man, the magician, the myth, everything. He's the guy that gets me going every day of the week. So he's without that guy, I wouldn't be doing this. Then Eddie Cockway, he's just recently come on as my manager. He's brought on some good guys as sponsors. Antagonist Gym in Melbourne, OzMV, Lookaroo. Who else I got? Franz Hydroponics. All these guys, they're just incredible. Even the past sponsors, you know, like Road Meats, Rip It Up Flooring. All these guys that have been a part of the journey so far and believed in my dream just as much as I did. I thank everyone. So and the people, you know, that are around me, family, friends, people that are pushing the Headsplitter name, that's what I really appreciate. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, Issac, thank you so much for stopping by, and all the best on December 4th.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.